Welcome back, everyone. Great to have you here today. Excited because this is the debut of a new series on the Cabral concept called Case Studies, where we are going through real-world, real-life cases that sometimes have a lot of doctors or integrative health practitioners scratching their head as to what is going on with this individual client. Usually when you run your functional medicine labs, it's pretty straightforward. You're looking at your deficiencies in your vitamins, your deficiencies in your different minerals, your omega-3s, or you're looking at toxicities, too much candida, parasites, bacterial overgrowth, maybe it's H. pylori, maybe it's food sensitivities, too much estrogen, too much cortisol. So these are all things that we look at. So those are pretty straightforward. But what happens when you get a case that's a little bit more of a head scratcher, right? So that's why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing it for our integrative health practitioners, for people around the world. And also so that you can better understand what's this thing called functional medicine lab testing, because you have to understand that there's like a million companies now, maybe not a million, but you know what I'm saying. There's a lot of companies now that are promoting at-home lab tests. The problem is they're marketing companies. They have no background actually in clinical practice, but they're marketing companies and they're looking to try to cash in on something that's becoming more popular. That's a really good thing for people, but not what happens, of course, when we get marketers into the industry and you get, big tech companies looking to do this and sell your data rather than actually working with what's called functional medicine lab providers, which are CLIA certified labs that keep all of your data private, and they don't sell them to pharmaceutical companies like 23andMe did when they sold. So not a good thing. But here's the thing. Functional medicine lab testing is what helped me get better in millions of other people, because it shows you exactly what's going on inside of your body. But you have to get comfortable with it. Not everybody is. So all I want to do is, this is just one lab. There's many labs to look at, but this is one great lab. It's inexpensive. It's a great way to get started. And I wanted to show you that today. So again, this is going to help you look at your labs and your life in a little bit different way. But also, it's going to show you that even the most difficult cases can be solved as well. So that's what it's all about. And that's one other thing that I'll add, is that it's really important that whatever company or practitioner you go with, is that you want to make sure that there's a human reading your results to you and giving you a personalized plan. I think that's really, really important as well. Now, again, if you're just running your vitamin level, your vitamin D level, you don't really need a human to tell you that you're low in vitamin D or, even omega-3s. I know we've done that before. It's like, listen, if you need to get to this level, you do this. If you're really this far away, you do this. Those are easy binary answers, but not when it comes to much more in-depth functional medicine labs, that's for sure. All right, so let's without further ado, dive into this case study. I want to give you the actual breakdown. So this of course will be anonymous. We never share people's personal information, but we're going to say this is a 42-year-old male, and their previous history was autoimmune issues for about 15 years. They came into our practice about 5 years ago. We helped them to rebalance the body, and there's no longer any autoimmune-based issues. They've been in great health over the past 5 years. All their nutrient levels have really been on point. They have been getting more into biohacking, more into seeing how far they can push their health. And now this person seems to be slipping back into more poor health, even though they believe they're doing all the right things. And they're feeling symptoms lately of feeling dizzy, of brain fog, not as clear thinking, of muscle loss, and feeling weak and less overall strength and endurance. So let's take a look at this. We just ask the individual, what's changed? It's the number one thing that any practitioner needs to do. If you have already been working with someone and they've been doing great, there's no scolding involved with this. We just want to know, hey, what's changed? This is what you were doing previous. And if you're a good practitioner, you're writing down notes during your consultation and you say, okay, what are you doing now? You don't have to ask what's changed because they may not even realize it. What are you doing now? What's your typical day look like? And so you go through that day. And so what we found from this individual is they were down to what's called 1 meal a day, OMAD, right? And I've talked about the OMAD diet on my podcast. If you haven't heard that one before and my take on it, please go to stephencabral.com/2029. That's where all the details for today's show will be. I'll even link up the lab, the actual lab that we're talking about. So if you want to follow along with that lab, head on over to stephencabral.com/2029, and we'll link up the lab for you so you can download that too. And that'll be very helpful, I think, for a lot of the integrative health practitioners as well. So this person was doing one meal a day. They were just having dinner because they heard 24-hour a day fasting was better than 12 or 14 or 16. They were following a plant-based, vegan-based diet. They were increasing their output from what they had done before, they were doing essentially 5 workouts per week, and it was mainly strength training. They had increased their sauna, so they were doing more sauna, and they also now added some cold plunge. Still getting great sleep. They go to bed around 9:30 p.m., and they wake up about 9 hours later. So they're getting great sleep still. They also decreased their protein intake, not really on purpose, but in one meal a day, they were really just eating about 40 grams or so of protein, which this individual weighs about 160 pounds. And so they were eating about half of their protein requirement for the day, especially based on how much output they do with all of their exercise and all the work that they do, etc. So, okay, interesting. They're doing one meal a day. They used to do 3. Breakfast smoothie, more of a plant-based lunch, and then a paleo-style dinner. They always worked out, which is great. They weren't vegan before. Not blaming it, of course, on veganism. We're not saying that. I work with many vegans, and they're very, very healthy. And so that changed. Their sauna routine has changed. Their cold plunge has changed. They're now doing one meal a day, and they're dealing with brain fog. They're dealing with some dizziness. They're dealing with muscle loss and just kind of feeling weak overall. So my job is to say, well, let's look at the labs. And we ran the big 5 labs. So you can always find those for yourself. You can figure out what they are. You can run them with any practitioner you want in the world, but you can at least see what they are at eco.life/big5. And you can check those out. And the lab that we're going to go through today is called the minerals and metals test. So we're going to pull this up on video. If you're not watching this on video on YouTube, then you can go to stephencabral.com/2029 and check it out. So I'm going to pull up their lab right now. And what I'm looking at for these first 4 numbers, so the calcium, the magnesium, the sodium, and the potassium, is their electrolytes. Now, one interesting tidbit I didn't add with you as well is that their weight dropped by about almost 20 pounds in a very short period of time, about 4 weeks or so. They were hypocaloric, so they're not eating enough calories. They're not eating enough protein. They're still exercising. So what we look at is energy balance. So they've dramatically increased their output in terms of exercise and intensity of the workout and saunas and things like that, which are great for you. But again, they still demand energy. And then they decreased their nutrient intake, because you can't get all your nutrients for the day in one meal a day. It's just be very, very challenging to do. Most people can't do it in 3 meals a day. So, and they've decreased their protein. So this person had a 15 to 20 pound weight loss that was very rapid. Okay, very, very rapid. So I'm looking at their calcium, their magnesium, their sodium, their potassium. These are the electrolytes of the body. That's what gives the body energy. It's one of the ways. And you can see before that you can see now that their calcium's in a great range. It's right within that blue wave. We're trying to get within this blue wave if you're watching it on a video. Their magnesium looks good too. They still need a little bit more magnesium to level that out between calcium, because calcium basically shows more of a stress response in the body. Magnesium shows the anti-stress in the body. So we want those equal. So of course we'll add a little bit more magnesium, but their sodium looks right on point where it should be. But their potassium, look at this. It's off the chart. The healthy range is 10. It's basically between 7 and 15. There's a parameter that you can be within. You don't have to be right on that black dotted line. But their level is a 40, right? So it's 4x where they should be, 400% greater. We're going to come back to that in just a moment. So we know that's off. Iron we don't look at in a minerals and metals test because this is a hair sample. The only way that you can test iron accurately is through the blood. And now we do test this. This is important because if you have high iron on a hair test, on this minerals and metals test, then it actually means you may have an issue of too much iron in the body. And what we do is we actually send you to your PCP to get your blood work done for your iron levels, your total iron binding capacity, and your ferritin. And many, many times we've seen that correlate, and the person is, this is very important because you need to deal with that. That's a real health issue. Okay. Their copper is elevated. So this can be from copper elements they're exposed to. I've talked about this on previous podcasts. And it could also be just because their zinc is too low, and their zinc is too low. So you have to keep in mind that everything in the body has a partner. It's like the yin-yang symbol in traditional Chinese medicine. So if I want to push down calcium, I add more magnesium. If I want to push down copper, I add more zinc. So this person needs more zinc. That's going to help with their immune system. That's very, very important. And there's many reasons why zinc could be low. Viral-based virus they fought off, hard workout, hard exercise, a lot of output. The immune system's being asked to do a lot of work. Heavy metals, yeast overgrowth, all of those will drive down zinc. Chromium, we almost never see it in the blue. It's so much of a food shortage that in order to get your chromium levels up, most people need a supplement. Not everybody needs to because their blood sugar is fine, but certainly you could do that. Selenium looks great. And their phosphorus is a little elevated as well. I point this out, even though it's just a little bit out of range, it is important because this person had about a 15 to 20 pound weight loss. And a lot of that, and that phosphorus can show up as bone or tissue breakdown. So I never want to see a high phosphorus. I never want to see a low phosphorus because this can mean too little protein intake when it's low. And when it's high, it can mean too much protein breakdown. Okay, really, really important. And that means your own body tissue. Now, if we move down to the toxic metals, which is where we're going to stop in this lab for here today, we see mercury slightly elevated with 2 little ticks. We don't want to see any mercury in the body. Now, some aluminum, we typically see 1, 2, or 3 ticks, I call them, little black horizontal based dashes. We see that it's so pervasive in the environment, but never above a 1. So this person was exposed to aluminum. Interesting though, here's why. This is very interesting. Because this person already knows don't use aluminum-based antiperspirants, don't use aluminum foil, don't use aluminum pans, don't drink tap water that has aluminum in it. So they already know all those things. So what could they be exposed to? Here's the interesting thing, and I've said this before. When you lose weight, especially rapidly, your body releases from the fat stores all of the accumulated toxins over the years. And most likely, this person had a dumping of those toxins in the bloodstream, and they get excreted throughout the skin and through the hair. That's normal, especially through the sweat. So what we're looking at is most likely a dumping of those things. People call that sometimes a Herxheimer reaction. They don't feel so well. Well, we can actually back it up right here in this test. This person went from a normal level of aluminum to jumped up to over a 1.5 at a 1.62. So really interesting. When I look at this individual and I look at them as a real person, I have to say to myself, this person is dealing with dizziness, some brain fog, which is a form of fatigue. They're looking at some just muscle loss, weakness overall. Well, when I look at it, I say all of this makes sense. Because first I look at this lab and I say, okay, is this person showing a catabolic nature of the body? That means muscle tissue breakdown. And the answer is yes, because when the tissue breaks down of the body, potassium is released because 80% of the potassium is within the cell, so it's intracellular. However, when there's massive muscle loss, not fat, but muscle loss, their potassium is excreted. And this person shows an excretion of potassium. So that potassium has to get rid of the body. It goes out through the urine, filtered by the kidneys, and it can be excreted anywhere in the body, and that includes the hair. So that makes sense. Now, is it backed up by anything else? Well, it is, by high phosphorus, right? High phosphorus. So now what am I looking at? Okay, this person went down to 1 meal a day. They're hypocaloric. They're eating 500 to 800 calories less than they usually would. Their protein's been cut in half, so they're getting not enough protein to repair the body. And we're also looking at someone that's now mineral deficient. And specifically here, we can look at that in terms of zinc. That's just one of the minerals that we're talking with, even though they are using some good nutritional supplements. So what else am I looking at when I hear this person? Well, they're on more of a plant-based diet. I have no problem with that at all. But here's the thing. I know that they're very catabolic. I know that there's over output. And the more anabolic foods would be some fish or some meat or some eggs. If they're not going to do that, I'm okay with that. But certainly they can't be on a 1 meal a day diet. They're not getting enough calories. They're not getting enough protein. Okay, so that's really, really important. But that's why it leads to these specific issues in terms of the fatigue. One more thing I want to give you is this. They also now, at least for a period of time, had an electrolyte balance. And that means there was more free potassium than there was necessarily sodium. This can lead to potentially a lower heart rate. It can lead to brain fog. It can lead to more parasympathetic based issues. And it could lead to, for sure, the lightheadedness and dizziness. And so that's what we're taking into account. So we're making sure, especially in a plant-based diet, which is very high in potassium, not saying that's a bad thing, that we're getting a little bit of good sea salt with those meals as well. So what we did was we brought them back to what was already working for them. We just had a gentle conversation saying, listen, this is what we were doing before. Smoothie in the morning. We were doing a plant-based lunch. Now they're plant-based. And then at dinner, you can still be plant-based. We don't have a problem with that. Just make sure that you're getting about 20, 25 grams of protein for breakfast, with your smoothie, that you're getting, let's say, 30 grams of protein at lunch, and then you're getting 30 grams of protein at dinner. Now, your body will be able to keep up with the 5 days a week of exercise, the sauna, the cold plunge, all the different biohacking-based things, and you're getting your 7 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables. You're getting enough protein, enough calories for your body, while still maintaining the weight that you want. So again, this is how we look at things. We look at things from truly a holistic perspective, because now we're taking this person from catabolic, breaking down their muscle. If you break down your muscle and you're not giving enough to refuel, of course, right? Of course, when we look at it from a natural, what's called dynamic equilibrium, the body doesn't have enough energy to repair what's breaking down. So what does that lead to? Feelings of weakness, feelings of fatigue, feelings of tiredness, not enough endurance, not enough stamina, right? All of those things matter. So within about 3 weeks to 4 weeks, we'll see a dramatic turnaround with this person. No doubt about it. We see this all the time in my practice. I simply wanted to share that with you. Again, everyone's symptoms can come out unique, but a lot of times these underlying root cause imbalances are fairly similar. So that's why when you run functional medicine lab tests, you get to see what exactly is going on with you. It's not just about your numbers, it's also about your story. We'll work the two together, and then a plan is developed to help you individually. So hopefully this has been helpful. Again, you can find out all about these labs. It's completely open source. You can go to equi.life, equi.life/labs, and you'll be able to see all the different labs for gut function, omega-3s, vitamins, minerals, Big 5, starter kit, you name it. Find out what's best for you. And if you ever don't know which lab is best to start with, I would start with a free lab consultation. And you can find that with many of our integrative health practitioners, level 2, or over at equi.life/health-coaching. Hopefully this has been helpful. Let me know if it was. I would love to do more of these case studies. So if it was helpful, just let me know. I'll start doing these maybe twice a month, and I'd be happy to. So again, feel free to comment right on Instagram, on YouTube. I love reading your comments, and of course, inside of cabralsupportgroup.com. Have an amazing day. Take care. I'll be back real soon, as in tomorrow, with another Cabral concept. Take care.